Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the video today. Real quick before the video gets started, this channel is about 8.5 years old, believe it or not. We started putting videos out 8.5 years ago, and that's way before you had to do anything with YouTube, like subscribe to a channel or click the notification button or any of that stuff. So if you haven't been seeing our videos, it's probably because you're not subscribed and you're not receiving the notifications. So right down below this video, click that subscribe button, ring that bell button, and make sure to get all the notifications for when these new videos come out, because we are still putting out a couple of videos every single week. Alright, so today we are actually starting a brand new video series for you today, and this video series is based actually on a talk that I did last year. I spoke at the New England Track and Field Clinic, which was in, I believe, Lawrence, Massachusetts. It's a lot of towns up there that start with L's and M's, and I always get them mixed up. But I spoke 3 times up there. The first time was about strength and conditioning. The second time was the top 10 mistakes and corrections for glide shot. And the third time was the top 10 mistakes and corrections for the rotational shot and discus. So I'm speaking up at that clinic again this year, but I'm speaking all about the lifting and training portion for sprinters and throwers, pretty much what I do here in the gym. But what I wanted to do for you guys today is actually do a video series presenting on what I spoke at the track clinic last March. So today starts the top 10 mistakes and corrections for glide shot put. Now there is a glide shot put video that I sell on the website. I'll put that link actually up here in the corner for you guys to click on if you want to check that out. The video that we're doing in here is a little bit, I would say, less in depth than what I did in that video. That's actually a full hour-long DVD with chapters and presentations, and we're actually outside in the throwing circle and demonstrating a lot of stuff. So if you want to pick that up, it's probably going to be a little bit more in-depth than what I'm talking about today with you. But definitely stay tuned into this video series if you want to get it piece by piece. If not, check out that link up there and you can download it all. I think it's only like 27 bucks or something like that. Okay, so the first big thing that we have to talk about before we head in there to the throwing circle is how we teach and how we correct. So just like if you've ever been to any type of coaching clinic or if you've ever been to a track and field camp, they usually teach you how to throw backwards. So they start teaching you how to throw from the finish of the throw to the beginning. So normally the first thing in shot you learn is how to release the ball, how to push and flick the ball, then how to put it up against your neck, and then what your left arm or your non-throwing arm does, and then positioning the upper body, positioning the lower body. So then they move back to maybe the middle of the throw. They start doing glide drills and glide technique. Then they work to the back of the circle. So they're essentially teaching you backwards. You learn the ending first, and you learn the beginning last. When you correct somebody who already knows how to throw, you correct from the back of the circle first. The reason for this is pretty simple. We're going to take some examples of this and break this down for you when we get in the circle, but the reason for this is pretty simple. Say, for example, you're really, really tall in your power position and your weight is shifted too far over your blocking leg. A lot of coaches are just going to tell you, hey, get low and keep your weight back. Get low and keep your weight back. But what if in the middle of the circle you're too tall and your weight has already started shifting over your blocking leg? It's not going to be possible to stay low and keep your weight back in the power position. At the same time, what if the coach notices that and says, oh, you got to stay lower in the middle. Staying lower in the middle is going to help you stay lower in the power position. Well, that's all well and good, but what if you're starting really, really tall in the back of the circle? If you're starting tall in the back of the circle, that's probably what's causing you to be too tall in the middle, which is what's causing you to be too tall in the front. So when you make corrections, you have to start making your corrections in the very back of the circle. You can't try to make corrections in the front because it might not be possible based on what's happened before that. So for that reason, we're going to be starting this video series like you already know how to glide. You've already been gliding for a little while. You already know all the steps. Your coach has already worked with you, and we're going to start correcting from the very back of the circle with where you put your feet and where you put your body weight and the angle that you should be at. Okay, so keeping everything that we just talked about in mind, let's talk a little bit about the back of the circle. The very first part that you want to look at when your thrower gets in the circle is what their body position looks like in the back. Now, when we talk about when we say in the back of the circle, I mean when they first start to initiate the glide. So whether you have someone who starts in a static position from just a low standstill position, or whether you have someone that's more of that active glide where they're starting up nice and tall. What we're talking about here is the very point when they start to shift their weight and they're about to initiate and glide through that circle. So the first big thing we have to look at is when they initiate that glide, what does their body position look like? What do their angles look like? All too often we see athletes who start really, really tall. Okay, even if they're a static glider, they're starting here. And really what we want to see is that they get in a much lower position. We want to see that their upper back is flat with the circle, and we want to see that if they were to drop the shot put off their neck, it would land outside the circle. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to get their center of mass as far over their power leg as possible. Kind of like a power position. When we're in the power position, we want to see their center of mass as far back over that power leg as possible. We want to see the same thing here when they're in the back of the circle. So I don't want to see their chest over their knee. I want to see a flat back, and I want to see their chest as far out over as possible. So it'll look like this. We want to get down. We want to see everything flat to the ground. So there's a couple of ways that you can check that they're doing this correctly. The easiest way is I have my athletes reach for the ground. So when they're in this position, they should be able to almost touch the ground. It should be scary. The official should be looking to make sure they're actually not reaching outside the circle and touching the ground outside the circle. If they're getting their arm low, that means their back is probably nice and flat and that their center of mass is over their right leg. The other way is to drop the shot put. So if you were to start here and drop the shot put, it would probably hit them right in the knee. When we start off, we want to be able to drop the shot put and have it land outside the circle. So they're in that position, they're low, they drop the shot, and it lands outside the circle. The other way is by looking. So if you are in a shot circle, you want to be able to look down at the ground outside the circle. If they're here with their center of mass between their feet and they're starting too tall, if they look down, they're going to be looking right at their leg. We want them to look down outside the circle. This is also super important when we start to talk about the next step, the next part that we want to look at, which is that their heel is the last part of their foot touching the back of the circle when they start that glide. If you're starting up nice and tall here, a lot of times they try to push off the toe, and we want to have them push off of the heel. Lastly, what I want you to think of is almost like you're loading the hamstrings like you're going to jump. Essentially, it's not actually a jump, but we are loading the hamstring to initiate that big push out of the back of the circle. So if you were to jump, you were going to sit back and load the hamstrings. If you're going to squat, you're going to sit back and load the hamstrings. When we're in this position, if we were to stand up here, we would be loading the quad. If you reach back and I can feel the back of my leg, my hamstrings are really flexible, they're loose. My quad is really tight because all of my weight is here in the quad. In order to initiate that flex or that loading of the hamstring, we want to get down almost like we're doing an RDL or almost like we're doing a good morning or a stiff-legged deadlift. We want to keep the knee just slightly bent, and then we want to rotate the body down, loading. You're going to feel a big stretch in that hamstring. Load the hamstring, get the body nice and flat. This way, when you go to push out of the back of the circle, the hamstring is loaded and you can get full extension out of the back. All right, so that is the first video in the new video series. Guys, I am running out the door right now. It has been a long day of coaching and training. Make sure to check out the links that are popping up right now on the screen. Make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell down below. We're going to be putting videos out like this a couple times a week, all the way up until the end of track season. So make sure you subscribe, click the notification bell, and check out EliteThrowsCoaching.com for our camps and our products and our blog and everything else that we do here at the gym.